Right here and now is the only important thing. This life. And you better enjoy it while you've got it. You better protect it. Because that's all there is. There isn't any other.
I don't look at it that way. I love life. But I'm not afraid to die. Death isn't the end. It's just the beginning.
My head is swimming. I don't know what to believe. I'm all confused.
Insight. An exploration in depth of the spiritual conflicts of the 20th century. Insight.
Hello, I'm Father Kieser. The threat of nuclear warfare has cast its long and sinister shadow into every corner of modern life. At any moment, with the press of a button or the snap of a finger, we could lose our friends, our possessions, even life itself. Death is never more than 30 seconds away. This isn't a pleasant realization. I don't think any of us enjoy thinking about it. But it is a fact. Sooner or later, all of us must face the stark reality of death. If not from the bomb, then from disease, accident, or old age. The coming of death is certain. Only the time is uncertain. Nuclear warheads and intercontinental ballistic missiles merely make the problem more immediate. In the 20th century, you need not be an engineer, a physicist, or a sociologist, but you must be a theologian. Our situation forces us to speculate about the meaning and purpose of human life, to seek some ultimate goal to aim at, beyond completing one day and looking forward to the dawn of the next. Quite spontaneously, we ask, where have I come from? Where am I going? Is death the end for me, or just the beginning? Must death be shunned, or can it be welcomed? What should I live for? What's the purpose of my life? These questions are central to every human life, but they are especially pressing for those of us who live in the shadow of the mushroom cloud.
Dad? Are we chicken because we have a bomb shelter?
Chicken? I'd say we were cautious, Pete. If a guy's throwing rocks at your head, it pays to wear a steel hat, doesn't it? Until people realize that and build community shelters, well, we're going to have our own.
Why are you so concerned about the shelter, Peter?
Oh, I don't know. Well, some of the kids were talking today in school, and they say, what good is it to be alive if you're the only ones left?
The things children talk about today, it's really something, isn't it, Dave?
How can they help it? It's the age that we're living in. Now, I suppose in the days of the Black Plague, that was normal dinner conversation.
Well, we've got a lot more problems nowadays than when you were a kid, huh, Dad?
Well, let's say it's a little more concentrated.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, Peter.
No, Pete, you tell those kids of yours that we're not chicken. We're prepared if anything were to happen.
By the way, Ethel and Bob want to come over and look at our shelter.
They want to look at it, or they want to criticize it. Boy, I can hear that bore right now. Now, Dave, if you rectangle, if you built it to the shape of an arch, the pressure per square inch would...
No, dear, honestly, they're very seriously considering building one.
Okay, then have them over. That's the best shelter you can buy on a loan from the FHA. It's got everything: chemical toilets, bunks, blankets, concentrated food, powdered milk, vitamins, air filter, generator.
And a dartboard Monopoly set.
And a dartboard and a Monopoly set. We're really prepared, huh?
Dear, are we? Are we really prepared?
What do you mean, Jay?
Well, I know we have all that equipment and everything, but are we really prepared for the bomb, spiritually?
Now, please, dear, not while I'm eating.
Dad, you're a pretty good guy, you know that?
Well, I'm glad you think so, champ.
You two go on with your head with your salad. I'll get the roast.
I mean, you help me with the scout troop, and you're president of the Fathers Club. Oh, and you understand when I goof up in school, and you're honest, and you don't even kill people.
Well, not recently, anyway.
Then how come you don't go to church?
Oh, easy, Drysdale. That's quite a curve you just threw me. That's your mother's department. You better ask her.
Well, Dad, I'm almost in high school. And I know how Mom feels, and I want to know how you feel about, well, God and religion and stuff like that.
Well, Pete, I'd rather not talk about it.
But, Dad, you're always asking me what I think of stuff. And now I'd like to know what you think about something.
Well, Peter, look. Religion is fine for some people. It helps them to be honest and to do the right thing. It's part of their lives, and they need it. But some people don't need it. They can be just as good and just as strong and just as happy without it. And I'm one of those people, Pete. I hope you understand. And I hope you eat your salad.
Oh, but if religion is good for some people, how come it isn't good for everybody?
Well, different people like different things. Now, your mother and I like strawberries. You eat them, you break out all over.
You mean you're allergic to religion?
Well, let's say I've been vaccinated against it. With pepper. Peter, I have a kind of a philosophy, a way of life. It's not anything new or particularly unique. I try to do what's good for my family and my business, my community, my country, and my fellow man.
But, Dad, how can you... I mean, how can anybody be a good guy if he doesn't believe in God?
Now, Peter, during the war, when I was in the South Pacific, I worked with a native chief, and he was one of the finest and noblest men I've ever met. And he never heard of God, let alone the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
But what makes people like that good?
Nothing has to make you good. It's common sense. Look, even the most primitive native knows if he kills someone, someone else is going to kill him. If he steals something, then somebody else is going to punish him. Over the years, this simple code has been developed into laws, what we call society. And this allows families and neighborhoods and countries to live together in peace and in harmony. Hey, I'm not talking over your head too much, am I?
Oh, a little. But some of it's getting through to me.
Well, look, Peter, being good is part of being nature. Lion is good to its mate, to its family. So are cows and birds and elephants. It's this law of nature that makes people lead good and decent lives. They don't do it because they're afraid of punishment or hell or anything. They're good because basically it's a natural thing for people to be good. I just don't believe you have to frighten people into being good.
You don't think it's wrong to go to church, do you?
Why, gosh, no. Well, what gave you that idea?
Well, I don't know.
Look, I think it's fine. I think it's great that you and your mother go to church. I see the good that it's done you, too. You know, before we got married, your mother and I agreed that's the way you'd be brought up. And believe me, I'm happy it's that way. I've never regretted it, not for 1 second. Say, where's your mother? Jane, where's that roast?
Can I be excused, Mom? I have a lot of homework.
Oh, of course. Pete,
Yes, Mom?
I'm going to church early tomorrow morning. Would you like to come?
Oh, gee, Mom, it's a weekday.
I know, but you usually like to go.
I know, but I got a big baseball game tomorrow. And if I'm going to pitch, I don't want to be tired, right, Dad?
Well, that's really up to you, son.
Of course, dear. We'll be up in just a few minutes.
All right, good night.
Night.
Dave, I couldn't help overhearing what you were telling him before.
So?
Well, I thought we agreed that we'd never play tug-of-war like that with Peter.
For God's sakes, Jane, the boy's going on 14. He can't go through life with his head buried in a prayer book.
Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to come out that way. Look at my side of it. I let you take him to church, don't I? I let you send him to a religious school. Every night I listen to you say prayers with him. Don't you think I feel a little left out?
I don't want you to feel left out. After all, we did agree that he'd be raised in the church.
Sure, we agreed. But my 13-year-old son comes to me and he asks me who I am and what I am. Now, what am I supposed to do? Let him go on thinking I'm some heathen monster, some iconoclast? Don't I have the right to explain myself? To give my son a decent and honorable image of what his father is, what his father believes?
Of course you do.
He's at an age, too, where he should ask questions. Don't you think?
Well, then what about mine? If you're answering questions about being prepared for the bomb, for dying, you can't ignore the spiritual.
Jane, my son asked me a few questions, and I gave him a few answers. Not all clouded up with a lot of emotional sentimentality and mumbo-jumbo. Just straightforward, honest answers.
A joke. Is that really what you call a straightforward, honest answer?
Now, look, I don't ask you or him or anyone else to believe what I believe. Now, don't ask me to pretend to believe what you do.
Oh, I don't. I never have. If we're going to discuss religion, faith, belief in God with Peter, don't confuse laughing it off with an honest answer.
Jane, you want me to tell my son to pray away a hydrogen bomb?
Dave Burke can be called a good pagan. He's good because he scrupulously obeys all the accepted rules of social behavior. He's a devoted father, a considerate husband, a loyal citizen. At first glance, it would seem that he's almost the ideal member of a community. And yet there's a very large chink in Dave's moral armor. His vision of life lacks theological perspective. His approach to life lacks religious depth. His moral code lacks spiritual fiber. This is why he must be called a pagan, because he has no active relationship with God. Dave Burke is truthful and honest and loving, not because these things are required by God, not because they might express his love for God, not even because they might help him prepare for heaven, but because they give him satisfaction, make him feel better, and make his life on this earth more comfortable, more peaceful and prosperous. Dave is a pagan not because of what he does, but because of why he does it. So often he does the right thing for the wrong reason. To a great extent, his motivation must be called selfish. He's concerned only about his life in this world. Dave scrupulously keeps the second great commandment, the love of neighbor. But he just as scrupulously ignores the first, the love of God.
You have just heard the President of the United States. We switch you now to New York.
Gee, Dad, we might go to war, huh? You think we'll get bombed? You think the Russians will back down? What do you think, Dad?
Well, I wouldn't worry about it, Pete. These crises come and go. Every year we have a new one. And with modern weapons what they are, no one's going to start anything. There's nothing to be scared of. Give me another drink, will you, dear?
Hey, Dad, if we do get bombed, who'll get it first? New York, Chicago, maybe us.
Now, I told you I didn't want you to get upset, didn't I? Now, knock it off, will you, pal? Hey, bedtime, isn't it?
Okay. And anyway, we do have the bomb shelter.
Good night, Peter. And don't forget to say your prayers.
All right, Mom.
Night, Pete. Oh, am I fed up with this bomb talk. In the office, it's yak, yak. At lunch, it's yak, yak, yak. Will they drop it? Won't they drop it? Stupid. There's not going to be any war. You know that. Don't you?
Oh, I hope not.
They start something, we'll bust them clean off the map.
Oh, but now they say we have twice as many missiles as they have.
Mm-hmm. You bet we do. And old Mr. K, he knows that, too. He starts something, boom, we'll bury him.
But like you said, he won't start anything. The results would be too terrible.
No. Let's just analyze this a second. Just what's he taking a chance like this for? He knows we won't stand for missiles that close to the United States. Maybe old Khrushchev has got something that can knock out our missiles, and we don't have anything that can knock out his.
Well, if that were true, do you think the president would have taken that strong a stand?
Oh, I don't know, Jane. I'm no expert. Maybe old Khrushchev has got out the slide rule. He kills one of us, we kill one of his. He's got to come out ahead because there are more of them than there are of us.
But we always have the shelter.
Yeah, a lot good that shelter is going to do us.
Now, why would you say a thing like that? If a few months ago when we built it, you said we could live down there for weeks.
Yes, but Jane, that was a few months ago. Now the Russians have got 100 megaton bombs. Oh, I don't know. Maybe Bob Thompson was right. I had the darn thing built wrong. It should have been round, take more pressure to the square inch. Now when those big bombs hit, we're dust.
But we're 16, 17 miles from town. Why should we have a direct hit? And at least we'll be safe from fallout.
Yes, but would we be safe from our neighbors?
Safe from our neighbors? Oh, what do you mean?
Now, Jane, the first warning, where are they going to head? Right for our shelter. And in no mind to discuss anything except saving their own necks. And then what do? Do we share a shelter for 3 with 100 or 200 people? Oh, what's the use? If the blast doesn't get you, the heat will. Those things What they have now compared to what they have in Hiroshima was just like a 4th of July sparkler.
Well, if it does come, what will we do?
What'll we do? We'll run.
Run? Where?
I don't know. I really don't know.
The human mind rebels against the awesome horrors of nuclear warfare. It should. But what Dave is struggling with is far more than the threat of such devastation. What he really rebels against is the thought of death. His preoccupation with his family is sincere, but it also masks the rationale he has constructed out of sand to justify his own life, a rationale he now finds crumbling of its own weight. Until now, Dave has lived for the material things of this world, his house, his car, his other possessions, and for other people, his wife, his child, his standing in his community, his prestige at work. None of these things are bad. All of them have an important part to play in most human lives. But one thing Dave has yet to realize: they are not enough. They can too easily be lost. They give scant solace to the individual when he must face his last hours in this world. Nuclear war is for Dave the ultimate tragedy, because it threatens everything he has ever lived for, everything he has ever valued, everything indeed that he has acknowledged to exist. Confronted with the mushroom cloud, Dave stands naked and alone. He's completely vulnerable. His good pagan philosophy has not equipped him for this type of crisis. He knows this, but he doesn't know what to do about it, or where to turn. No wonder he's disturbed.
The crisis seems to be nearing its climax. 36 Russian ships are reported heading into the area. The American naval blockade is poised to intercept them, but Khrushchev warns that interception means nuclear war. The president has ordered all the planes of the Strategic Air Command on a 3-minute alert. Informed sources in the nation's capital expect the next 24 hours to be decisive. Peace or nuclear war? Which will it be? No one seems to know. We return now to our regularly scheduled program.
Turn that off, will you, Pete?
What do you think, Dad? Sure sounds like a mess, doesn't it?
I don't know, Peter. Nobody knows. I'm tired of thinking about it. Go on up to your room, will you? I want to talk to your mother.
But it's nowhere near my bedtime yet.
I didn't say that it was. Now go up to your room and read or play or do something, huh?
Okay, Dad. You know, maybe we ought to sleep in the bomb shelter tonight, you know, just in case.
Will you forget that shelter?
Honey, we'll be up a little later.
Okay. Mom, would you wake me up early tomorrow morning?
Do you have to study?
No, but I think I'd like to go to Mass with you.
Dave, I wish you wouldn't act this way. It upsets everybody.
Why shouldn't everybody be upset? You don't seem to realize what it's like. Everybody just goes along their own merry way, ignoring the whole problem.
I think people are concerned. You should have seen church. It was really crowded this morning.
And so was the bar I stopped in on the way home.
Everyone busily fortifying himself.
Now, come on, now that's not fair, Jane. In a crisis, people like to get together and talk. Those people you saw in church this morning, were they all there yesterday or a week ago or a year ago?
You're right. I'm sorry. I was just making a joke.
Sure. Lots of people think it's a big joke. You should listen to some of those modern Minutemen down at my office. Some of them talk as if nuclear war were like a settler defending his home and family against the marauding Indians. I think they were fighting Custer's last stand.
A human life is just as important now as it was then.
No. Jane, it's different today. I can understand defending my home, protecting my family. But during the war, I was ready to give my life for them. But that kind of a sacrifice has to have a meaning, a reason. A dying in a cloud of radioactive dust, it's got no meaning. It's just stupid.
In every war, people have died. And they weren't all stupid.
Yes, but they died so men would be independent, so that men would be free to make the world safe for democracy, for the 4 freedoms, for lots of grand and sometimes foolish reasons. But what is death without purpose, without hope? Just absurd. You can't pound your chest and shake your fist up at a falling bomb or radiation.
But what can we do, Dave?
I don't know. It's driving me nuts. Somebody's got to do something.
Like what?
Well, I've been thinking a lot. I hate to say it, but I thought the whole thing over, and there's only one way out for us. We have got to find a way a face-saving way, to back down, to give the Russians what they want. Well, it beats dying, doesn't it?
No, Dave, I don't think so. I don't want to die any more than you do, but I'd rather be dead than have to live under communism.
Oh, better dead than red, huh? Look, countries have given up and they're still around, but their children are still breathing, and that's what's important.
Look, I want to stay alive. I want Peter to stay alive. But I raised Peter for freedom and happiness, Dave. Yes, and for God.
Here we go again.
No, here we go for the first time. I'm ready to fight if I have to. I'm ready to die for these things I believe in.
How can you say that, Jane? Freedom is not the most important thing. Life is. We were put here first to survive. And religion and nation and duty, all that came later. And what are they worth to a corpse? If you lose life, you lose everything.
You know that's not how I feel. Death isn't the end. It's just the beginning. There's a part of me, a part of Peter, a part of you, whether you want to admit it or not, which no bomb can destroy.
Your immortal soul, well, if you'll excuse the rhyme, that's pie in the sky that I don't buy.
Well, I do. I believe my soul, your soul, Peter's soul, is going to live forever. The body dies. Sooner or later, we all have to die anyway. But the soul keeps right on living. It can spend all eternity with God in perfect happiness if we play it right.
You really believe in that heaven stuff?
Do you think I'd be such a hypocrite as to teach my own son these things if I didn't really believe? Do you think I've just gone to church all these years because it's the thing to do?
Sure, you're not afraid of dying. You've got it all figured out. You think you've got someplace to go, huh?
That's just about it in a nutshell.
It's a nice, comfortable position. If the bomb goes off, I lose everything, huh? You don't. You just start enjoying what you've been working for, huh? Well, there's just one big problem. It's all one big pipe dream unless God exists, and I don't believe that he does.
I'm never so sure as I am right now.
Why?
It's times like this that make me sure there's a God. A permanent, stable God whose life we can share. That's what I'm living for, David. I think it's the only thing worth living for.
Have you finished?
Yes, I have.
Would you do me one big favor?
Okay.
Stop looking so damn calm. You make me nervous.
Faced with the possibility of nuclear destruction, Dave began to disintegrate. He does not have the moral stamina he needed to face such a crisis. Jane is also troubled by the possibility of atomic warfare, and yet she's not shattered by it. She does not disintegrate. What is the difference? Both Dave and Jane are good moral people. They have shared almost everything for more than 15 years. Yet their reaction to the crisis is very different. She has something he lacks. And from that something, she gets the moral fiber she needs to withstand the crisis. I think the difference is Jane's faith. Jane believes that the material world and all it contains is not a good enough reason for living. The final purpose of man cannot be anchored in the dust. It lies well beyond the smallest, least visible star. And there, beyond space and time, Jane finds the perfect reason for living, the purpose of all human activity, the goal of her life. The God in whom Jane believes is not a philosophical concept, not a spiritual Santa Claus or avenging tyrant. He is a transcendent, all-knowing, all-loving being whose persistence in existence is assured. God's life is so full, so transcendent, that he seeks to share it with his creatures. That is why he becomes man in Jesus Christ. Jane's faith is rooted in that man who more than 1900 years ago allowed himself to be brutally murdered on a small hill just outside the city of Jerusalem. He was not afraid to die. His love for each and every member of the human race was so strong, so powerful, that he willingly, even anxiously embraced death because he knew it was the key to the world's redemption. And yet 3 days later, this same man showed his absolute power over death by rising from the dead on that first Easter Sunday. He came forth from the tomb, resplendent with divine life, the master of death, the conqueror of human mortality. Christ is stronger than death. He takes from death its sting, and he offers his divine eternal life to us. He wants to give us a created share in the uncreated life of God himself. I am the resurrection and the life, he says. He who believeth in me, though he is dead, will live on. And whoever has life and has faith in me, to all eternity cannot die. Through faith, the Christian lives by the life of God himself. For him, Christ is not only a teacher to whom he listens, a model whom he imitates, a leader whom he follows. Christ is the source of the believer's life. Christ is his life. Jane's faith in Christ enables her to share in his risen life. It gives her a kind of life that no bomb, no disease, no accident can destroy. And it promises her even more. After death, this life opens out and becomes the face-to-face vision of God. Jane has known many moments of happiness in this life. The satisfaction she felt when she graduated from college with honors, and her parents were so proud of her. The joy she experienced when she met Dave after his first tour of duty overseas. The pride she knew when he got his first great promotion. Her own exultation when Peter was born. These were great moments for Jane. The happiness they gave was very real. And yet she knew that these created joys cannot compare with what awaits her in heaven. Eye hath not seen, nor what things God has prepared for those who love him. In heaven, knowledge of God is complete. Love is absolute. Joy is unrestrained. In living for the next life, Jane does not ignore this one. She knows, as every Christian knows, that her happiness in the next world will be directly proportionate to the love she develops in this one. And this is why Jane tries to permeate her entire life with love. Love for God, love for Dave and Peter, love for all men, because everyone is made in the image and likeness of God. In the evening of life, Jane knows she shall be judged upon love. The Christian can face the thought of death because he understands its meaning. It is for him the vestibule to eternity. He can contemplate death without fear because he already possesses a kind of life that is stronger than death. He can approach death without loneliness because he has already begun to experience the wonder and warmth of God's love. This is what the Christian lives for. This is what gives him his life, its meaning and purpose. And this is what enables him to face death without fear or anxiety. Death is for him the gateway to glory.
Insight is a production of the Paulist Fathers, a group of Catholic priests who serve their God by serving those outside their church.